Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
Rolling on the river in Colorado. Haven't we seen enough water here this year, for crying out loud? D-backs riding the NL West Rapids on this road trip. A chance today for a series win over the Rockies. And instead of another assault on Mount 500, we have planted the D-backs flag right on the ballpark in lower downtown Denver. Today it's a matinee here. And it's the 11th attempt since April 24th to return to the 500 mark. It's Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. And good afternoon from Coors Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. The series finale here, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. And don't adjust your sets. Yes, that actually is sunshine you see behind us here. A gorgeous day in Denver today for this series finale and this battle, Bob, of dueling De La Rosas.
Yeah, our De La Rosa, Ruby De La Rosa, has been on quite a roll lately. Last two starts against National League West opponents, he's been outstanding. Jorge De La Rosa has been a D-backs killer throughout his career, especially here at Coors Field, where he's 8-1 with an ERA under 2 against the D-backs.
As you mentioned, Ruby has been outstanding his last two starts.
Yeah, commanding everything, just pitching with a lot of confidence. That changeup has really become a legitimate weapon for him. It's not only a strikeout pitch, but occasionally he can use it to get ground balls as well.
And Chip Hale said today he really thinks Ruby's power stuff will play well here in this ballpark. Offensively for the Diamondbacks today, quite a contrast in this series so far for Yasmani Tomas. He went from altitude sickness in the opener to a career-high 4 hits last night.
Yeah, he was talking about how much he was looking forward to hitting in this ballpark, and unfortunately wasn't able to do that in the first game of this series, but he made up for it last night. Went 4 for 5 with a double, drove in a run, his first career 4-hit game, spraying them all over the ballpark.
And a very interesting lineup put together by Chip Hale for this afternoon's game. We'll have that for you when we come back. Yasmani Tomas is in there, but first, reaction from, well, they're not the D-backs, they're the Battlebacks, those cardiac Diamondbacks last night. 3 runs in the ninth, they beat John Exford. Reaction, and then first pitch coming up on Fox Sports Arizona.
Is brought to you in part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today, only at Jack in the Box.
And our exclusive coverage of Diamondbacks baseball continues on a spectacular afternoon. So far, here at Coors Field in Denver. Thanks for joining us. I'm Todd Walsh here at field level. We'll get back to Steve and Bob in just a moment. We can't help ourselves, folks. We are understandably fixated, I think, on the Diamondbacks and their quest to get to and beyond 500. However, to get to and beyond 500, you have to find a way to win games late, like the Diamondbacks did late last night. They were 0 for 29 after trailing after 8 innings in games this year, but they found a way. As Chip Hale told his team, anything can happen. It did. The fact that they found that way was not lost on this group inside the clubhouse after the game.
If nothing else, it proves to ourselves that we can do it. And so now anytime we're in that situation, we shouldn't have any, there shouldn't be anybody that feels like we can't, and at the same time, these guys are coming together. They're learning, and it's fun to watch, because they've matured a whole lot since the beginning of the season.
Teams that get in the playoffs and win championships have to win late. And you have to find a way against good pitchers, the best closers. You have to find a way, and tonight we did.
I'll tell you, a young team could have packed their bags and folded last night in the war of attrition, but not this team, not the Diamondbacks. And there you have Ruby De La Rosa making his way back in from the bullpen. It's De La Rosa and De La Rosa. Game 3, a chance to win the series, and you know that 500 thing. Steve and Bob with the call coming up in a moment.
Inning on the road. That means you're winning the game, and a win today will finally put his D-backs back at 500 for the year. They are the Diamondbacks, but after last night, the Battlebacks, their first win in 30 games when trailing in the 8th inning.
Yeah, that's a trait you love to see from your ball club, the ability to come back late against some of the better relief pitchers in the game. And John Axford has been one of the better relief pitchers in the game, closing out ball games for the Rockies, and they put it on him last night.
Their Arizona Ford starting pitcher this afternoon for the Rockies, Jorge De La Rosa, 73 career wins over his 8 seasons with Colorado. He is the Rockies' all-time wins leader, one of the few pitchers who's been able to find consistent success in this ballpark. Here's Chip Hale.
Well, he's their guy. He's their main pitcher. He's the one they always look to break their streaks. So we got the De La Rosa versus De La Rosa going. We're going to have to get the ball up again. He's going to try to work the ball down, get the righties to expand the zone. We got our first four are best against lefties. So we'll see how it goes.
And the numbers on Jorge De La Rosa up against Ruby De La Rosa here today. 4-3, 5-4-7, 52 innings. He's given up 53 hits with 53 strikeouts.
You mentioned the all-time Rockies wins leader. He's 47-16 in this ballpark. A remarkable 31 games over 500. Just fair to middling this year, but he's been tough against the D-backs in the past.
D-backs winners of 8 of their last 12, only 4 behind the Dodgers for the NL West lead. And this, as Chip Hale mentioned, Bob, a lineup designed to attack left-hand pitchers.
Just tsunami them in the first inning. Get all your best hitters against lefties up there at the top of the order and hope they can make some noise early in this ball game.
So Nick Ahmed, for the first time in his career, will start in the leadoff spot in the big leagues on a fingers crossed beautiful sunny day here in Denver. Who knew?
Famous last words, yeah. You know, Nick Ahmed, not that unusual a choice to lead off. 234 batting average notwithstanding. He's hitting 300 when leading off an inning this year, so you might as well have him lead off the ball game.
And he takes a strike. Nick at 234 and 4 homers. And Chip Hale, as he mentioned, doing everything he can, given the roster makeup, to adapt his lineup to face the lefty De La Rosa here today. And that means Nick Ahmed leading off. And as Chip mentioned, you know, Nick has earned this. It's not just the left-hand thing. He's done very well this year and certainly lately, but he's batting over 350 versus lefties this year. And his on-base percentage versus left-hand pitching this season is over 460. So he's a good choice here to lead things off. The fly ball to right center field. Charlie Blackmon backing up at the track, at the wall, and he makes a leaping grab. Takes extra bases away from Nick Ahmed.
Boy, and if that's an indication of how the ball's going to carry today, buckle up. Nick did that ball well, but that nearly went out of the ballpark.
Yeah, that carried out to deep right center. One away for A.J. Pollock.
As you can clearly see from Jorge De La Rosa, he's got a little hitch in his giddy-up out there out of the windup. He has a couple of different spots in his delivery where he almost comes to a complete stop. Yeah, very tough the first time you've seen him to get your timing in that batter's box.
A.J. down 0-2. Chip Hale said just before the game today, one other reason for Nick Ahmed in the leadoff spot against the lefty was to give A.J. Pollock a break from batting leadoff, at least for one day, and give him a chance to get back in the 2-hole.
Here's the De La Rosa windup. He has a pause right there and then lifts his leg and pauses again before turning and firing toward home plate. Just a mechanism designed to throw off the hitter's timing.
The classic crafty lefty.
Arenado makes good plays even on foul balls. That one ricocheted off the Diamondbacks dugout, came back toward fair territory, made a nice backhanded play, and flipped it up to a fan.
You mentioned this the other day. He is really becoming one of the best players in this game. AJ, yep, he went. First strikeout for Jorge De La Rosa. Here comes Goldie.
De La Rosa is not the kind of pitcher that will overwhelm you with his stuff. He's got a decent four-seam fastball. He'll throw a lot of cutters inside to the righties. Has a split finger he uses as a changeup. He has a slider and a two-seam fastball, but he rarely uses them. Basically just fastball, cutter, splitter.
Up there throwing strikes so far. Paul Goldschmidt, the National League's leading hitter. And he is tied with Nolan Arenado for second in the league in RPIs. And of course, last night, number 20.
Through the raindrops and into the pool out there in center field, or the pond, I guess.
Pool or a pond, natural spring water. Rolls one into left center, a base hit for Goldschmidt. He's now hit safely in 6 straight.
Well, so many of Goldie's hits, especially recently, have come between right center and left center field. Either ground balls up the middle of the field or drives to the gaps, or in the case of last night, over the fence in center. I can't remember the last time we saw Goldie hit a ball down in the left field corner.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is great. That's a tremendous approach. Stay up the middle of the field. With his strength, the ballpark can't hold him in center field anyway.
Yasmani Tomas, just under 330 now with 3 homers. And a career high 4 hits last night. He scored twice, including the go-ahead run in that 9th inning. Coming in on the Aaron Hill fly ball to make it 8-7. Part of that 3-run D-backs 9th.
Steve, the Diamondbacks as a team have been really good with 2 outs in an inning this year, and Yasmani Tomas is pacing the way with 2 outs in the inning. A .397 batting average. DJ LeMahieu for the Rockies not in the lineup today.
Now that Rockies lineup today a little thin with Tulo and LeMahieu getting the day off. Of course, you've got no Dickerson, no Cargo again. Justin Morneau on the DL. There goes Goldschmidt. The throw from McHenry is high, and Goldie's in there. His 13th stolen base.
Well, we say it all the time. That's what sets Paul Goldschmidt apart from other slugging first basemen in the major leagues. Very few guys with 2 outs in the inning can steal and get themselves into scoring position the way Goldie can.
That's the second time, Bob, we've seen him plant that hand back behind him hard on the ground and kind of drag it with him. It makes me a little nervous,
yeah,
frankly.
It should make you a little nervous. That's a very easy way to sprain your wrist, hyperextend it, and that's a very painful injury. Even though it's just a day-to-day thing, it really can inhibit your swing.
It just looks like it might be becoming a habit with Goldie. Let's take another look. Watch the right hand.
Bang, right there.
I mean, it plants down hard and bends that wrist all the way back and then drags behind him. De La Rosa thought he had strike 3 there, but it's even 2-2.
Just off of that corner. Well, it took 3 years, partner, but we finally found something Goldie doesn't do excellent.
We had to look hard.
He drags that right hand when he slides.
Bounce to shortstop. Descalso has it in there for Tulowitzki today, and that's the end of the top of the first. So 1 De La Rosa down, and 1 more to go. Here's Ruby when we come back. The payoff is here today on a just gorgeous sunny afternoon in Denver, Colorado for the Diamondbacks and Rockies finale of this 3-game set. On the mound for the D-backs, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, Ruby De La Rosa. His pitching coach is Mike Harkey.
I think pitchers, young pitchers, especially like Ruby, who has the kind of stuff that he has, he tries to do too much, like strike out 3 guys with 1 pitch. And, he's got to make sure that he keeps it, simple and keep the right perspective.
Well, Ruby says he is more confident than he was before. He's lost only once in his last 9 starts, and that'll certainly help.
Yeah, leaving the hotel lobby today, Ruby was walking out with Ariel Prieto, Yasmani Tomas's translator, and Prieto was saying, yeah, how about today, De La Rosa against De La Rosa? And I jokingly said, I like our De La Rosa a lot better, and Ruby gave me a big thumbs up and a smile. He's ready to go.
Charlie Blackmon looks at strike 1. Blackmon 279 and 9 home runs, riding an 8-game hitting streak. And Blackmon has had a productive series. He's got 3 hits, a pair of walks. He's scored 3 runs, stole 2 bases last night, and during his 8-game streak is batting over 400. 0-2 is upstairs for a ball. We have watched Ruby De La Rosa develop into a top of the rotation type starter in this his age 26 season. And yep, Castillo hangs on, a strikeout of Blackmon to open up the ball game. And he's throwing gas here this afternoon. The lineup for Walt Weiss's Colorado Rockies looks a little different today.
Yeah, it looks a lot different. We've seen Charlie Blackmon. Excuse me. He'll be out in center field. Rafael Inoa at second base. Nolan Arenado, an 11-game hitting streak, has been absolutely raking. Ben Paulson once again in left field. Willeen Rosario at first. Michael McHenry doing the catching. Daniel Descalso at short. Brandon Barnes in right field. And the lefty Jorge De La Rosa on the mound.
And again, Cargo a no-go here today. He has played just an inning or 2 defensively. He's not had it at bat in that series with his left hand injured right now. Walt Weiss being very careful with what they're calling a hand sprain. Inoa off the belt buckle of De La Rosa. There's that high lob over there. And once again, somebody came close, but they just do get the out. That always does make you a little nervous when he lollipops that throw over there.
Ruby walking it off out there. Might have caught him in the thigh the way he's reacting. And Chip Hale and Ken Crenshaw are going to go out and take a look. A hard comebacker. Looks like it got him somewhere on the right thigh. There's that lollipop throw. Man, that's scary.
Yeah, look, maybe just above the knee. And Ruby's looks like he's doing the hokey pokey out there.
Chip telling him, catch that ball. Don't let it hit you. Yeah, somebody will almost always go to the mound, and after a pitcher gets hit with a comebacker like that, say, hey, you got to charge that ball. Of course, you have no time to charge that ball from the mound. I'll throw a couple of warm-up pitches here.
Ruby's had a number of comebackers hit at him in recent starts, it seems. Seems to be okay.
Yeah, taking a look at his right hand as well. And he threw a couple of warm-up pitches with no issues, declared himself good to go. And we got to trust that he is ready to go. Might have deflected a little bit of that with his right hand.
And we've seen him do that before. Try and knock it down with his bare pitching hand. The dangerous Nolan Arenado now with 2 outs. First pitch swinging. It's a high pop-up to Goldie on the outfield grass coming in now. And that's an 8-pitch inning for Ruby De La Rosa. And hopefully he's okay. No score after one here at Coors Field. I guess he's saying I should have caught it with my bare hand. It seems to be okay, which is certainly a good sign. Aaron Hill steps in now to lead off the second. Getting the start at third base against the left-hander. No Jake Lamb today. Aaron at .230 and 3 homers. Of course, it was Aaron who had the sac fly RBI in the 9th inning last night. That produced the final run of the ball game, the one that gave the Diamondbacks the win. 8-7 the final. As they got 3 in the 9th. 0-2. Daniel Descalso goes upstairs to get that one for the first out of the second.
A rare start for Daniel Descalso. He's been the most used pinch hitter for Walt Weiss this year, but day game after a night game, and given Troy Tulowitzki's tenuous physical health out there at shortstop, Descalso getting the nod today.
The former St. Louis Cardinal. The former Cub and Mariner, Wellington Castillo. Five homers now. Wellington got the start Tuesday night, had a home run and a walk. He was on base twice. 2-run homer off Kyle Kendrick to dead center field. Jorge De La Rosa has struggled lately with his command. He's walked 16 batters in his last 5 starts. And that's not counting a start back on May 10th against the Dodgers here when he walked 6 in just 4 innings. But so far today, he is out there throwing strikes. 1-2 pitch. Missed away, and it's even 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations. It's been a veritable taco fest here in Colorado the last 2 days.
Can't beat it. Warm down there today. It's always been all week long. It's looked just like this all afternoon. That's what kind of drives you crazy about the rain we've had. It's looked like this every day. As Castillo strikes out, second strikeout for Jorge De La Rosa. It's been in the late afternoons where the real nasty stuff comes in.
As opposed to the last time we were here in Colorado when we never saw the sun. It rained for 3 straight days.
Just beautiful here today so far.
That's the changeup from Jorge De La Rosa. Turns it over just a little bit, gets some fading action down low and away from the right-handed hitters.
And he has got a really good changeup. Chris Owings. Another strike one for Jorge De La Rosa. CO 234, a couple of home runs. Chris had an RBI double and scored a run last night.
Now CO took some better swings last night. Unfortunately, he fouled off a lot of them like that last pitch right there, but showing a little better pitch recognition. Didn't chase as many breaking balls in the dirt or off the outside corner last night as he had been recently.
De La Rosa so far 6 of 7 first pitch strikes. This is his fourth 0-2 count. This one has a chance to drop in there, and it will. A little bloop single for Chris Owings. Second hit for the Diamondbacks. Brings up David Peralta.
Another changeup fading down low and away from CO this time. Gets it out near the end of the bat, but finds grass out there in shallow right center.
Shift is on for the Rockies. Rosario holding Owings on the bag at first. Once again, strike one from Jorge De La Rosa. David Peralta just over 260 and 5 homers. And Chip Hale, no other options versus De La Rosa today. Of course, Ender Inciarte, who bats left-handed but hits lefties, is on the DL. Danny Dorn, the only other outfielder on the roster right now, also a left-hand hitter.
Now this season, however, Jorge De La Rosa has given up a .326 batting average to left-handed hitters as opposed to a .242 against the righties. Now that's way against his career numbers. Normally he's very good against left-handed hitters.
Once again, Jorge De La Rosa ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Peralta has been, in Chip Hale's words, pretty disappointed when Chip has sat him in the past against lefties. And David said recently he has just been waiting for the opportunity to start against a left-hand pitcher, and now he's got one today.
And we mentioned that when Ender Inciarte went on the disabled list, that David Peralta was going to get a lot more playing time against the left-handed pitchers, and it really could determine how much playing time he gets moving forward.
As you can see, under 170 against left-hand pitching this year, just 5 for 30 with 10 strikeouts. So he gets in the lineup, but bats 8th, a little dribbler. And they erase the 2-out single. Bottom 2 coming up, no score in Denver, Colorado. Women's World Cup, the quarterfinals, China against Alex Morgan and Team USA in a winner-go-home match for both squads. Coverage starts at 4 o'clock on your local Fox station. You can catch the whole tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Then after the soccer game, it's the Diamondbacks and the Padres. First of a 3-game series from Petco Park. And, U.S. and China, Bob, that's a huge deal in the Women's World Cup. Last time they met in this tournament, of course, was 1999 at the Rose Bowl, and they had that signature moment where Brandi Chastain just took off her shirt after the penalty kick and was waving it around, and the sports bra business just shot up.
Yeah, I even went and bought one. No.
It was a man's ear.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, I love win-or-go-home situations, whether it's March Madness or the College World Series or Game 7 of a playoff series. Boy, that either brings out the best or the worst in the competitors. I love to watch those win-or-go-home games.
Ben Paulson ahead 3-0. He leads off the second. Well, in 7 Women's World Cup appearances, the USA has never failed to reach the semifinals. So if they want to keep that record going, this is a winner-go-home against China tomorrow on Fox. And the whole tournament again streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Megan Rapinoe and Lauren Holiday are not going to be able to play, the U.S. midfielders. They
put some yellow cards.
Yeah, they'll catch up with you. They're like speeding tickets. Nick Ahmed throws out Paulson. 4 up, 4 down for Ruby. So that's a pretty good day of TV watching tomorrow. You watch the Women's World Cup U.S. match on Fox, and then by the time that's done, unless they go into one of those 7-8 shootout deals, you flip over to us, Fox Sports Arizona, Diamondbacks and Padres. And that tomorrow will be Robbie Ray against Tyson Ross, and good luck with that.
He's about due for a bad one against the D-backs. He said hopefully.
Rolene Rosario, he was pretty filthy last weekend at Chase Field. Rosario just under 290 on the year and 5 homers. That picture of Brandi Chastain, she was kind of kneeling on the ground. She went into that celebratory dive there and the shirt waving overhead. That became really an iconic image. Mm-hmm. And in many ways launched youth soccer in this country. And now so many girls play youth soccer. That really started the boom. That was, of course, the great Mia Hamm team. Julie Foudy. Of course, Mia Hamm is now Mrs. Nomar.
Mrs. Nomar Garciaparra.
A ball and 2 strikes. This is popped up, fighting that sun, Nick Ahmed over there. By the way, the latest episode of D-Backs podcast starring Nick Ahmed is available right now if you want to listen on iTunes. And it should be up shortly on dbacks.com. We had about a 20-minute interview with Nick, and he was just terrific. And we want to thank him for joining us once again on D-Backs podcast, so you can check that out on iTunes and dbacks.com. Really good talk about growing up in a cold weather place as a baseball player. He grew up in Western Massachusetts and played at UConn, and everything he went through to become a ball player, because he was a great pitcher, Nick Ahmed, when he was in high school. A lot of colleges wanted him only as a pitcher, but UConn was the only school that said, okay, if you come and play with us, you can do both. You can pitch and play shortstop, and he really wanted to play shortstop, wanted to be in there every day. Look out, Mike McHenry.
Well, always a scary moment, but fortunately McHenry got a lot of hang time on that one. The fans all had equal opportunity to get ready. It looked like everybody's okay down there.
Yeah, they scattered pretty well. That's about 5-6 rows deep.
Thumbs up from the security guards down in the area. Everybody okay?
Dude. Checking to make sure it's legal. Right to Stu Cole at third. McHenry just 4 for his last 26 up there. Ruby ahead of ball and 2 strikes. That's a fair ball. Long throw for Aaron Hill. And so far, 6 up, 6 down for Ruby De La Rosa. No score through 2. The 18th, the D-backs will welcome Luke Lee, the whole gang, for the D-backs and the Giants, and 20,000 fans get this A.J. Pollock Star Wars bobblehead with lightsaber in hand. This is a one-of-a-kind item courtesy of Cox Communications, so get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. Always a big night, Star Wars night. Ruby De La Rosa leads off the third against Jorge De La Rosa. They are not related. Ruby taking all the way. It's 0-1. As Jorge continues to throw strike one. So far, 32 pitches, only 8 balls. And Jorge De La Rosa, perhaps as much as any pitcher ever, has figured out what you have to do to pitch at Coors Field. 15 starts at home last season. He was 10-2, 47 career wins at Coors Field. That's the most in Rockies history. And he strikes out Ruby De La Rosa for his 3rd strikeout.
And became the Rockies' all-time wins leader on June 14th. And also is the franchise leader in strikeouts. Passed Ubaldo Jimenez earlier this year on May 21st.
Nick Ahmed in the leadoff spot against the left-hander today. Hit a deep fly ball to right center field. That should have been extra bases, but Charlie Blackmon made a terrific running catch running into the wall to take the base hit away. There's Blackmon in center. And the odd thing about Jorge De La Rosa and his career in this ballpark, it really hasn't happened this season. 7 starts here at Coors this year, 2-2. And an ERA just over 7.5. And a lot of it has been command. He's issued 21 walks in 33 innings of work at Coors Field this season. But the command so far today has been excellent. 1-1.
De La Rosa's only had 1 start this year where he did not walk a batter. That came at Dodger Stadium. A 7-1 Rockies victory.
He'll get a lot of swings and misses like that.
Well, that's one way to win in any ballpark. Get ahead in the count.
Talked to Nick on our D-backs podcast episode for a long time, and you can listen right now on iTunes. And he talked about all the adjustments he's made with his batting stance. In the hands, they were lower. Then he wanted them in a more athletic position, so they came up a little bit. But he really feels like he's seeing the ball well right now. Reaches down and lifts that out to Blackman in center. 2 outs.
It's very rare that a major league hitter will have a batting stance and a setup in the box where he's comfortable and stays with it his entire career. Guys are always making adjustments, sometimes from at bat to at bat, game to game. Cal Ripken Jr. used to make adjustments from pitch to pitch.
He had about 50 different stances. There's A.J. Pollock. Strikeout victim his first time up. Did you fidget with stuff from time to time?
Boy, did I ever. Do you remember Dick McAuliffe, second baseman for the Detroit Tigers back in the day?
Well, I was going to say late 60s, right?
Yeah, had a real awkward stance where he was kind of facing the pitcher, pointing his right elbow right out at the pitcher, and then he would turn and get into a normal hitting position. Well, I kind of adopted part of that.
Nolan Arenado throws out Pollock. A 1-2-3 third. No score at Coors Field.
Covering the Great Flood, but we did get an update on Jeremy Hellickson. Remember, the ball seemed to find him on multiple occasions the other night, and he did have an MRI through a side session. Everything is cleared. He's ready to go, and will make his schedule next start, we believe, on Saturday against the Padres. Meanwhile, a story broke before the game. Steve, you were down there with Chip Hale that Archie Bradley has been sent back to Phoenix to have something evaluated. We're not sure yet. Chip Hale did not say whether it was a shoulder, elbow issue, but there's his numbers in his start against Tacoma. Will be one of the first questions we do ask Chip in the postgame later on this afternoon. So we'll bring that information along to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. It was discouraging news, and Chip told us today, as Todd mentioned, that Archie will go back to Phoenix and be reevaluated. They weren't sure exactly what was wrong, and the only thing Chip could say for sure today was that Archie's just didn't feel great after the start last night, so he's going to get checked out. Daniel Descalso, 0-2. Right back at you, Ruby. Glove save and a beauty. Couple of comebackers back out there. The first one got him. Thank goodness this one didn't.
Hit me once, shame on you. Hit me twice, shame on me. That time Ruby ready to react to that line drive, and it's a good thing he did. That was headed right for his face.
Brandon Barnes. They'll start in right field for Barnes, just under 300. He has 2 hits in the series, both on Tuesday, including his first home run this year. And still no go for Cargo. That hand injury is still an issue, apparently. Although we did see a flash of Carlos Gonzalez in the ball game last night defensively. Played a couple of innings out there, did not have an at-bat. And so once again, it's Brandon Barnes in right field for Walt Weiss.
And did not have an at-bat in that game by design. Walt Weiss, when he brought him into the game as a defensive replacement late, could have double switched and put Cargo in that pitcher spot and gotten him an at-bat, but because of the wrist, they just didn't want to push it, so they made the changes straight up, and Carlos Gonzalez did not get an at-bat.
Yeah, everyone assumed that's what he would do because it was up that way on the scoreboard, in fact, and then they changed it when Descalso did indeed come up to hit. Ball and 2 strikes now. X-rays were negative on Cargo. And they say this latest hand injury is not related to his long history of wrist or hand or finger problems. And they say the sprain is on the area of the hand where the fingers meet the wrist. But with his track record there, they're going to be extremely careful. But Walt Weiss was quick to say they don't believe it's anything chronic. It's one thing that's so amazing about baseball, Bob, is that you're at any position, your hands and your fingers, if you don't have them, you can't play.
No. Especially if they happen to be on your throwing hand or fingers. Wellington Castillo is saying that Barnes swung through that ball, and the tip that they heard was the ball bouncing off of his glove or skipping off of his glove.
Chris Guccione, the plate umpire, says Barnes got a piece of it.
Oh, I don't think he did. Looked like he swung right underneath that ball, and Wellington just clanked it back there, goes to the backstop. You can see the way Castillo reacts. I mean, if he knows that's a foul tip, he's not going to chase that ball down the first baseline like that.
So it stays 1-2. Umpires listen as much as they see, don't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's nearly impossible to see a foul ball like that that's just barely deflected, barely changes direction. It's really hard to see that, but you can hear it.
Gets the strikeout of Barnes anyway, the second for Ruby.
Well, the 2 De La Rosas hooking up here at Coors Field today, the 3rd time this season. Now, granted, the first 2 times were the same guys, Brian Anderson and Chase Anderson, hooking up the Dodgers Diamondbacks game. Did it again on May 3rd, and then the 2 De La Rosas today.
Ruby De La Rosa is from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, where he grew up in a house right near Pedro Martinez. And Jorge De La Rosa, originally a Diamondback signee, is from Monterrey, Mexico. Little 2-hop roller to Owings. And that's the end of the 3rd. 9 up and 9 down for Ruby. No score at Coors. Part by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers. Yes, the sun is actually shining on Rockies baseball at Coors Field. Beautiful sunny day. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, and Todd Walsh with you as we start the fourth inning. No score, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, as the D-backs make their 11th attempt this year to get back to 500 on the season so far. 0-10 when they've been one game under 500. Downtown Denver skyline behind us. Goldie leads off the fourth. He singled and stole a base his first time up.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Hit hard to shortstop, right to Descalso. One away, 5 in a row is sent down by Jorge De La Rosa. All right, I got nothing.
Got a hot dog and a hot pepper. Wearing the old school Dexter Fowler jerseys.
Yasmani Tomas. Hey, it's going to be nice out. We can finally wear our hot dog hats. Sweet. Tomas grounded out his first time. Bounces one to Arenado at third.
Tell you what, that's a fairly routine play there. Two-hopper right at the third baseman and one of the best third basemen in the game. And Yasmani Tomas made that close at first, really busting it down that line. He surprises you with his athleticism. You just wouldn't expect it, given his body type, the way he looks, but he moves extremely well and gets up that line.
Sure does. More athletic than you think. Aaron Hill lined out to shortstop his first time. A look at Yasmani up the first baseline.
Man, we've seen it a million times where a guy hits a ground ball right at an infielder and just jogs down that first baseline, but he puts his head down, runs straight through the bag. They got him by half a step on a routine grounder to third.
Love to see that. That's a fair ball. Arenado, the two-time Gold Glover. Another close one, and yes, the foot stays on the bag, says Clint Fagan. Let's hold the phone here. Give Alan Campbell a chance to check in the Diamondback clubhouse.
Arenado with an extra crow hop before firing across the diamond. Something Willeen Rosario wishes he'd stop doing.
Going to need an angle when you see the foot. Chip will not challenge, and that's the end of the inning. Now 7 straight retired by Jorge De La Rosa, still no score. The air-conditioned comfort of Chase Field for the Diamondbacks and Rockies game. And then afterward, make sure to stick around as the roof will open up for a post-game fireworks spectacular presented by Gila River Casino. You can get your 4th of July tickets right now at dbacks.com. 9 up, 9 down so far for Ruby De La Rosa. Charlie Blackmon, the leadoff man, leads off the 4th. He struck out his first time up. And Chip Hill told us before the ball game today he really felt like Ruby's power stuff will play nicely in this ballpark. And so far, Chip has been right on the money. Base hit for Blackmon. First hit for the Rockies. He's thinking about 2, but a good throw by Yasmani Tomas keeps Blackmon at first. And now your moment of zen. Ah, yes, the peaceful surrounding of Coors Field. Very serene.
Be a flute playing very softly in the background.
Rafael Yanoa.
That's not the feeling pitchers have when they come to Coors Field.
No. That was like who's the guy, the Deep Thoughts guy on Saturday Night Live, Al Franken, Jack Hanley or whatever his name is. Jack Handy. Deep Thoughts.
Deep Thoughts.
A switch hitter. He is much better from the left-hand side. And he hit a ball in the first inning that went off the hand or thigh. We're still not quite sure of Ruby De La Rosa. Tap it right back to the mound. That caught Ruby. Watch out for Blackmon. He stole 2 bases last night. He's got 19 on the year. Trying to spot. It's too cold down there at third is Blackmon, the third base coach, but it's a little bright out here. It's affecting everyone. They're not used to it. Yes, he went. And so Blackmon down there getting some help from E.Y. Sr., the first base coach. 1-1 on Inoa. There's E.Y. Sr., Rocky legend. A ball and a strike. Double play ball here. Owings. Ahmed will throw, pulls Goldie off the bag, and they can't turn 2, but they erase the lead man and Blackmon, and that's the first out in the 4th. Brings up Nolan Arenado. Walt Weiss has a question. Going out to talk to Chris Guccione. Arenado has not gone into the batter's box. He's waiting for his manager. Take a look at the play at second. Did he drag his foot across the bag when he had possession of the baseball? And we've got a conference here. Now remember, the neighborhood play is not subject to review, but you can go out and try and generate some kind of doubt in the umpire's minds. And that looks like that's exactly what Walt Weiss is trying to do here.
Certainly it's not in the rule book, but my experience on those double plays at second base, if the throw is good, if the middle infielder doesn't have to make a drastic adjustment, and that appears to be a high throw, but it wasn't a drastic adjustment, they call the guy out. As long as your foot is in the neighborhood of the base. If the throw is offline or in the dirt, then they're going to require you to get a foot on that bag when you have possession of the baseball.
Yeah, we saw that last night. If the fielder has to reach for the ball, it does make the play reviewable. But the neighborhood play, so-called, is not subject to review because baseball considers that a safety issue. So here's Arenado now, and he looks at strike one, 97 from Ruby. And he popped up to Goldie his first time up, 0 for 1.
Walt Weiss has spent almost as much time on the field in this series as the tarp.
Well, he used 8 pitchers last night in a 3-hour and 55-minute ball game that started 46 minutes late. It's a fly ball to right center field. A.J. Pollock runs it down in the gap. And Ynoa scampers back to first, 2 down. Ball is carrying out to right center here today.
And A.J. dealing with a little bit of sun out there in center field. Obviously, as the sun moves across to the west, the sun is going to affect different position players at different times. It's starting to work its way to affect the guys on the right side of the field.
Ben Paulson now. The Diamondbacks will put the shift on. You can see Aaron Hill, the third baseman, playing second base, and Owings well out on the right field grass. Paulson grounded out his first time up. And he'll ground out again here, right to Aaron Hill. That's a 5-3 put out with the shift on. And we are through 4, no score at Coors Field.
Lack of play that he had before he came to us. His defense has been fantastic. He's led our pitchers well, and now you can see his bat coming around. That's really what we thought when we traded for him, that he was going to be an offensive catcher along with being a defensive guy.
Todd Walsh back here at Coors Field, guys. Chip Hill talking about today's catcher, Wellington Castillo. You know the numbers. He's hitting 6 of his last 7, couple of homers. And the big at bat last night from Selton Lamakia. You see 2 new guys to the organization having to figure out the pitching staff. That's a tall order in and of itself, but now they're coming around behind or at the plate. That, I guess, epitomizes the old story of baseball where strength starts up the middle and it has to start behind the plate, doesn't it?
It's really worked out nicely, Todd, especially after the at-bat we saw in that 9th inning against John Axford from Jared Saltalamacchia. And Castillo, as Chip said, has been very much an offensive force at the position and done nicely behind the plate as well, especially working with the pitching staff, notably Ruby De La Rosa.
Everybody loves to get offense from that catching position, but the reality is when you bring 2 new guys into a system, I like the way they approached it. They wanted to get together with the pitching staff first. Obviously, they were trying to get hits, and they've done that over their last 8 games. Diamondbacks catcher's hitting .292 with 3 doubles and a couple of homers, but the first order of business was to get up to speed with the pitching staff.
50 pitches for Jorge De La Rosa, 36 strikes. That one misses, and it's 2-1. And Ruby and Welly have really shown an ability to work very well together, because Ruby requires a little bit of handling. I mean, he can get, we've talked about this, he gets a little stubborn from time to time. But Castillo seems to have some kind of magic touch in helping keep Ruby's mental game focused. And that's been another payoff, because Ruby's turned into a top of the rotation guy in the making. We're watching that process take place here. There's a lot more to go, a lot more polishing certainly needed, but there's a lot of reason to be encouraged. And Wellington says that Ruby's getting better mentally, simply because he's always had really good stuff. But having said that, it's part of his job, he says, just to calm Ruby down.
You'd be surprised how often that happens. Guys mature physically before they mature mentally, and you expect them to be something because of what they do physically when, they're just kids. They're growing up. They're still learning their trade.
3-2 pitch. Ball 4. That ends a stretch of 7 straight retired by Jorge De La Rosa, his first walk this afternoon.
Yeah, speaking of growing up, these guys in the bullpen have way too much time. Andrew Chafin fashioned a slingshot out there.
It's like Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor Coors Field.
Well, he's a big-time hunter, Andrew Chafin. I mean, he's always, deer and ducks and camouflage and all that stuff. Lord of the Flies. Chris Owings singled his first time up. Now he's just looking for targets. Well, that's what you want, right? You want those guys bored out there with nothing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope they're doing that in the 9th inning today.
That would be great. And with the way that Ruby has pitched so far, they might be. He's worked 4 innings, given up just 1 hit. He's got 2 strikeouts. Busted. They do have TV monitors out there. CO gets all tied up on that when he's down 0-2 now. No place to hide, Andrew.
It's obviously the sunflower seed bush out there. He just plucked the package right off the bush.
Feels more natural that way.
Yeah.
A roller to Arenado. Manoah, and they turn 2.
Arenado a little quicker this time and a little firmer with that throw to the second baseman. He turns it over and makes it an easy double play.
So base is empty, 2 down, and the shift on for David Peralta. Arenado will move to the shortstop spot. He's all by himself on the left-hand side. Peralta grounded out to short his first time up. And we've talked about the importance of this opportunity for David, facing a left-hand pitcher, and most importantly for him, a left-hand starting pitcher. As he says, when he's faced lefties before, it's usually against matchup relief pitchers. And he says in those situations, I mean, you're not sure as the hitter about the arm slot, the release point, where it's coming from. You face them one time and that's it. But with starting pitchers, he says, you have the opportunity to kind of get used to them and make the adjustments up there. It's not a one look and done kind of a deal. And so he thinks against a lefty starter, he'll have a better chance for success. One-two pitch.
And a typical alignment defensively for the Rockies against David Peralta, especially when he's facing a left-handed pitcher. Pull shift on the infield, opposite way in the outfield.
He's trying to get Peralta to chase here, but good job by David to work the count back full 3-2.
Find a way on there. Clear that pitcher spot.
Peralta 4 hits and a walk in the series. He scored 3 runs. Ruby is on deck. Well, I tell you what, you get a 2-strike count against this guy, he's just going to make you fight off or chase change-ups and sinkers.
I mentioned at the top of the show, he does throw an occasional slider to a left-handed hitter, but very, very rarely. He is very comfortable with his 3-pitch mix, a 4-seam fastball, a cutter, and a splitter. Commands all of them very well, but occasionally against a lefty, you will see him throw that slider.
Left it out over the plate, and Peralta didn't miss it. A very good at bat against a left-hander for David Peralta right there. Just what you're looking for.
Nicely done. Sounded like he may have broken his bat. You notice he didn't even lift his front foot off the ground. Just stayed in his stance, trusted that his hands would be quick enough to catch up to anything, and lofts a little soft liner into right field.
And they do indeed clear the pitcher's spot. De La Rosa in there. A strikeout victim his first time up. Peralta on first and 2 outs. Diamondbacks begin play today, only 4 games behind the Dodgers for the lead in the National League West. They have won 8 of their last 12.
Nice play, Mom. Oh, look at that.
Full extension.
Yes. That's how you do it, son.
Base hit for Ruby. Drops it into shallow center. And that's the 3rd Diamondback base runner in this inning against Jorge De La Rosa, who had retired 7 straight to open up the 5th.
Ruby doesn't get cheated up there. I don't know how many hits he's going to get this season, but he takes his rips. If you throw something in the strike zone, he's got a good chance to put it in play, and this time a clean single into center.
2 on and 2 out for the leadoff man, Nick Ahmed, in the leadoff spot for the first time in his career. As Chip Hale told us before the ball game, he took all his best batters against left-hand pitchers and put them up there at the top of the order. And with an on-base percentage this year against lefties over .460, that means Nick Ahmed is leading off. A little dribbler to shortstop, though. Descalso has to hurry, and he throws him out. And De La Rosa strands 2, still no score at Coors.
Today shouldn't be anything new for him. Brandon Crawford of the Giants earlier this season hit one off of Ruby. Got part of his right hand that day as well. A comebacker off the bat of Rafael Ynoa early in the game. Got part of his hand, part of his leg, threw on to first for the out. And then just when you think things are settling down, Daniel Descalso tests him one more time.
Woo. And tell you what, Ruby, because he was at bat and on base in that last half inning, he knows that the pitch clock between innings doesn't go into effect, so he pulled a big-time Lee Smith coming out of that dugout.
Yes, he did.
I mean, you couldn't have waited longer or walked slower to the mound than Ruby did, which I think is probably smart, right? Sort of lets him reset his compass there a bit and get out there and worry about pitching. And now, after that long delay, as Ruby gets himself prepared, we're set to go in the bottom of the fifth. And Ruby has been throwing strikes. An 8-pitch first with 5 strikes, 13-pitch second, 8 strikes, 9 strikes in the third, 7 strikes in the fourth. And Willeen Rosario leads off the fifth with, guess what, a strike. Rosario popped up his first time.
Good low strikes, too. You see Wellington Castillo down on a knee to give that lower target we've talked about lately, and Ruby De La Rosa dots the glove.
Bounced over the mound and into center, a base hit. Rosario's aboard to lead off the fifth. Just the second Rockies hit against Ruby De La Rosa.
Wellington Castillo heading the count 0-2, called for a fastball off the plate away. You see where he sets up, and that pitch straight right back over the inner part of the plate for Rosario. Just a little bouncer right back up the middle of the field.
Brings up the catcher, Michael McHenry, who grounded out his first at bat today. McHenry stuck in a 4 for 27 right now. Don't forget tomorrow, China versus the U.S. 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup, a quarterfinal winner go home, China against Team USA, your local Fox station at 4 o'clock. And then Diamondbacks and Padres on Fox Sports Arizona right after the soccer game.
That one, however, is not win or go home.
A lot of pressure that way. Now this is a good example here. Wellington Castillo managing Ruby De La Rosa. And there's a little bit of babysitting involved here, and Welly seems to have a knack for it.
I mean, that's something you have to want to do as a catcher. It's part of the job description, but I've played with and coached some guys that just didn't care. Hey, you're the pitcher. Throw the ball. I don't care. Get it up here. Let's go. If you can't do it, we'll get somebody else in here that can, and obviously that's the kind of catcher pitchers don't like to throw to.
Bud Black, when he was still the Padre manager, used to talk about that a lot with his catchers and the importance he felt as a former pitcher that his catchers for the San Diego Padres really did show that. They wanted the pitcher to believe that the catcher cared about him as a person and a teammate out there. It wasn't just about balls and strikes.
Catcher has just as much of an emotional involvement in the game as the pitcher does. I want to get you through this game, and I'm going to do everything I can to help you, as opposed to sitting back there behind the plate, never leaving your crouch position, letting the pitcher shake off everything you put down there. Yeah, whatever you want to throw. Go ahead. Go ahead. But you get a catcher that's involved with his pitcher out there on the mound, makes those trips out there at timely junctures of the ball game, and they can really help a pitching staff.
98 from Ruby, misses there, and it's even 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Damian Miller, he was really good at a lot of things behind the plate, but that was something he excelled at. Randy didn't like a lot of guys coming out to the mound, but if he felt it was time and Randy needed to be slowed down just a little bit, Damian was a guy that would go out there and do that.
2-2 pitch. Called strike 3. He rings up McHenry. Third strikeout for Ruby De La Rosa. Got the strike call there from Chris Cuccione.
Yeah, they were getting a lot of barking from that first base dugout on the McHenry at bat. A couple pitches they didn't think were in the strike zone. That pitch looked to be just off the plate away.
We saw that shot of Tom Candiani working alongside the Governor Greg Schulte and Leo Gilmartin in the Diamondback radio booth. Candy used to talk about that relationship all the time because he would throw to Mike Piazza in L.A. And Candy will tell you that when Piazza wasn't having a great day offensively, he kind of didn't have a great day with the fingers either back there. Daniel Descalso in there at shortstop today. Tulowitzki getting a day off. That's in the seats.
Boy, obviously it's important for every player to separate the two aspects of the game when you're at the plate offensively and when you're in the field defensively. But no position is it more important than behind the plate. You've got to let those at bats go, good, bad, or indifferent, when you go back there behind the plate and focus on your pitcher and your defense.
And Candy said when Piazza had a couple of hits, he was great. But when he didn't, not so much.
Well, fortunately for Candy, Piazza didn't have many hitless games.
Exactly. One of the great catchers of all time.
One of the great hitting catchers of all time.
Now, behind the scenes there, that's Leo Gilmartin, who, well, he handles so many. I don't even know how to describe Leo's duties, Bob.
Yeah.
Radio engineer, producer of our D-backs podcast. A media sensation. 0-2 on Descalso. Descalso has only started 17 games for the Rockies this year. This is number 18. Mostly shortstop and second base. Hasn't played a whole lot. This is away again. Off speed that time, and it's even 2-2. But Descalso is doing just what the Rockies envisioned that he would do, which was, play all over the infield and give them the occasional start in games like today. Right to EY Sr. still with the quick hands down there.
Solid.
He fielded a few of those in his day. Better hands than that guy. There's EY. Those old second baseman's instincts kicking in. He was a good outfielder as well.
Yeah, the glove that EY used at second base wasn't much bigger than his hand, so easy play for him.
Misses at 95. He's kind of nibbling here with Descalso, and it's full 3-2. And this is when you worry about the focus. Descalso, the number 7 hitter. Barnes is on deck. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Rosario still at first. There goes Rosario, and that's ball 4. So a leadoff single, a strikeout. He walks the number 7 hitter. 2 on, 1 out now for the Rockies, and it's conference time.
Well, while the Diamondbacks are having a team meeting out there on the mound, let's take a look at our Geico. This day in Major League Baseball history, it has a Rockies theme. Larry Walker hit 3 home runs in a 10-8 Rockies win over the Indians at Jacobs Field.
Boy, they've had some hitters in this ballpark over the years, and the other ballpark for that matter as well. Oh, Ruby could use a moment of zen right now. 2 on, 1 out, and here's Barnes, who struck out his first time. Rosario at second, and Descalso at first. And Wellington Castillo has talked about some of Ruby's bad habits, and one of them is his tendency to just kind of space out there for sometimes it's just a batter or two, sometimes it's a full inning, but he will lose his focus for very small stretches. And that's where Welly really needs to step in and calm him down a bit, get him refocused and recalibrated. There's a strike at 96. Mike Harkey.
Man, with Ruby's stuff, there are very few situations where he should not just attack hitters.
Yeah.
Go right after that strike zone. And there will be the occasional power hitter at the plate with a base open, and you want to pitch him carefully, but for the most part, go right after him.
A little flare out to center. A.J. Pollock can't get it. Rosario is going backward towards second base. He'll have to stop at third. And the Rockies have the bases loaded. Rosario at one point was actually running back to the second base bag and then had to readjust. And the bases are full with 1 out.
Right off the end of the bat, which may have fooled A.J. just a little bit. It still got a good jump on that ball. Just came up a little bit short. Fortunately, hit the heel of his glove and stayed in front. Here you see Willeen Rosario.
And so Ruby's in a bases loaded 1 out jam at 60 pitches, 40 strikes. But the good news is it's Jorge De La Rosa at the plate, Rosario at third, Descalso at second, and Barnes at first. Jorge De La Rosa grounded out his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Looking for that ground ball right here. Might not get the chance. De La Rosa shows bunt. Aaron Hill comes in from third. That's outside at 97, 1-0. If you're Walt Weiss, how would you play this? Obviously, you need to stay out of the double play here.
Yeah, but you can just as easily bunt into a double play as you can hit into a double play. I think Walt Weiss ought to be rooting for a strikeout right now. That way you know there's only 1 out and Charlie Blackmon coming to the plate.
Too cold down there at third, in the base path right now, flashing signs to De La Rosa, who's up there with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Blackmon on deck. '98 is in there, and it's 1-2.
We've seen the Diamondbacks pitchers do a similar thing in bunt situations, show bunt and then take it back. The problem with De La Rosa, he takes the bat back so late. I don't know if he could catch up to anything Ruby throws up there.
This is all against the bottom of the Rockies order here. Squares to bunt with 2 strikes, pulls back and knocks it to Goldie. Coming home, they get the force at the plate and they turn the double play. The Diamondback turned the double play with the bases loaded and 1 out, and Ruby De La Rosa is out of danger there. Goldie coming home, Castillo at the plate turns it, and they keep the game scoreless through 5.
Paul Goldschmidt field this grounder, throw home. That's the easy part. Wellington Castillo comes inside the baseline and throws the ball to the foul side of the baseline, which means Goldie at some point completely lost sight of that baseball because of the runner coming down the line. That's how good he is. He doesn't even need to see the ball to make a catch.
Catches it on the other side of De La Rosa.
Yeah, he's in fair territory, reaching into foul territory. The ball was behind De La Rosa, and somehow Goldie still makes the play. Outstanding.
America's first baseman turns in our Chaz Roberts air conditioning. Cool play of the game. And Arenado at third will go have a conference with Jorge De La Rosa to give him a chance to catch his breath. Well, we talked about that. The one thing that Walt Weiss did not want was his pitcher hitting into a double play, and that's just what happened. And this the first matchup in Major League Baseball history of De La Rosa's. The most common matchup, pitcher-pitcher, same name in baseball history, has been Smith versus Smith 21 times. But this game today, the first ever matchup of De La Rosa v. De La Rosa. 1-1. That from ESPN Stats and Info. A lot of research went into that. 70 pitches for Jorge De La Rosa. He's only thrown 21 balls. He has been in or around the strike zone all day long. Behind here, though, 2-1.
Take a look at our Valley Honda dealer keys to the ball game today. We've been talking a lot about the assault on Mount 500. We're going to go the easy route today. We're just going to take the lift.
I like that. Nice.
And Walt Weiss putting a lot of his backup players in the lineup today. We used to call those the killer bees. We'll swat the killer bees.
Well, AJ in the 2-hole today. Talked about how Chip Hale stacked all his good hitters against lefties at the top of the order. AJ's on that list. 304 average for the season, 6th in the National League, but that batting average, as you see here, jumps up to almost 340 against left-hand pitching. Is there a ticker tape parade I'm not aware of?
I don't know where this all came from. Little pieces of paper ever so gently floating down from high above Coors Field. I'm not sure where those came from.
It looks like Lindbergh just landed in Paris. And they're having a ticker tape parade. Little purple squares are floating down. We haven't had enough stuff coming down from the sky, so we had to create some more. 3-2. Did he go? No, he did not, says Clint Fagan. It's a leadoff walk. AJ aboard for Goldie. Maybe it's a celebration for Goldie's All-Star candidacy. I don't know why they'd be doing that here, but we got a great pitcher's duel going on here at the ballpark. Beautiful sunny day. Somebody's got too much time in their hands up there. Goldie has singled, stolen a base, and grounded out. He's 1 for 2. And Goldie has widened, by the way, his lead atop the voting for the National League first baseman in the upcoming All-Star game next month in Cincinnati, only on Fox. He now leads Adrian Gonzalez by more than 2.5 million votes.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. Good to see. Great job by Diamondback fans.
You know, partner, I hate to strike a raw nerve here, but you don't suppose Dinger had anything to do with this purple and white paper floating around the ballpark?
I'm sure it does, and we've got more on Dinger. Believe me, we're ready to blow him up. There's the vote leaders so far. Still a lot of Cardinals in there. Giancarlo Stanton And D. Gordon, for that matter, both deservedly in there for the Marlins.
4,800,000 votes for Giancarlo Stanton. Ironically, the same distance he's hit in home runs this year.
And only Bryce Harper and Buster Posey have more votes among National League starters than Goldie. How about this? Harper leads Posey. They're 1 and 2. He leads Posey by almost 3 million votes. I mean, Bryce Harper really racking up the vote total. But I'm glad you brought that up about Dinger. We've done some, what I think, Bob, is really solid investigative journalism. And I think we're just about ready to bury Dinger on this show today. Yeah, we'll save it for an inning or two, but we've got a Fox Sports Arizona exclusive. And it's kind of a 60 minutes deal. We got the whole thing on tape, and he's busted. So he's going down. We'll run that for you in a little bit here. 2-1. We pulled a Mike Wallace on him. Speaking of the All-Star game, this July, baseball's bet gather in Cincinnati. Home field advantage in the World Series on the line. Covered at the 2015 MLB All-Star game. Starts July 14th at 4 on Fox and streams live on Fox Sports Go. Next step is to get A.J. Pollock on that team. 2-2. I will say that the Rockies aren't leading the game, so of course Dinger is nowhere to be found. Dinger, the front-running mascot. Time granted by Chris Guccione behind the plate. I think De La Rosa just doesn't want to throw a pitch to Goldie.
Yeah, the longer he keeps picking off at first base and holding the ball and stepping off the rubber, the less chance Goldie has of hitting it.
And eventually you do have to go to the dentist.
The pace is really slowed here for Jorge De La Rosa out there on the mound. Yeah, looking at his finger.
Well, that's been an ongoing issue for him, Jorge De La Rosa. He's had some nasty cuts on that finger that have actually had to scratch him from a couple of starts this year. A cut on his finger that lingered for a long time. It's on the left middle finger. It started in spring training. And it's been an issue for him. Once again, Goldie works the count full. It was May he was scratched from a couple of starts when it flared up again. And at one point, they had to have the top layer of skin around the cut sliced off with a knife to try and allow it to heal more efficiently. But it's still been a problem. A.J. Pollock at first. Nobody out. Tomas on deck. 3-2 to Goldie. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks from Jorge De La Rosa to open up the 6th. Take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing player, Yasmani Tomas, or as he's known on the road, Yasmoney Tomas.
Last 21 road games, hitting nearly 360, lots of extra base hits, 6 doubles, 3 homers. He's driven in 15, and now the Rockies training staff, led by Keith Duggar, their head trainer, on the way out to take a look at De La Rosa.
That left middle finger is flaring up once again.
Well, just recently, Jared Weaver, wasn't it, from the Angels, that had a cut on his hand, and they had to do some quick patchwork between innings to keep him in the ball game.
He just went on the DL. And we talked about this earlier. You can't play this game without your hands and your fingers. Are some guys more susceptible to these types of things, blisters, than other pitchers?
Just like people are different. Some guys have much softer skin. Some guys develop calluses after playing catch just for a couple of days. And Yeah, we talked about that split finger from De La Rosa. Obviously, that comes off different parts of your finger because the index and middle finger are spread wide apart, and it looked like that's where he was looking, on the inside of his middle finger. I think that's going to do it.
And that will force Jorge De La Rosa out of the ball game with nobody out and 2 runners on in a scoreless 6th. When we come back, we're going to have our investigative report on Dinger, the front-running mascot. A new pitcher is on the way. Investigative journalism when we come back. All the time he wants to warm up. That gives us a chance for our exclusive Fox Sports Arizona report on Dinger, the front-running mascot. Now, Bob, as you know, my beef with Dinger is that when the Rockies are losing, you don't see him anywhere. He only shows up when they're winning, and this was evidenced, and we have the clear-cut video to prove it here, last night during the Diamondbacks' 9th inning comeback. Now, this is the 9th inning. Keep an eye on Dinger. Now, usually in the 9th inning when they're about to win a game, he's right back there, right in camera shot, so everybody can see him. He's such a front runner, and they're leading here in the 9th. But then the Diamondbacks chip away and chip away. Now it's 7-6. Rockies still leading, and there's Dinger. But Saltalamacchia draws the bases loaded walk. Game is tied, and suddenly, no Dinger. He bailed. So we have, this is like surveillance video in effect. And Dinger, the front-running mascot, they end up losing the game, never heard from again. And watch this, last out, as soon as Ziegler strikes out too low, ball game over, Dinger head down, he walks. That is our exclusive report on Dinger, the front-running mascot, and I think, Todd Walsh, that makes a clear-cut case.
Yeah, certainly compelling video, obviously highly edited, and again, I'm just a court-appointed public defender. I will tell you this. I hold something in my hand here that...
I hope it's a confession.
No. This is a point of discovery here. This is Dinger's schedule today. And I'm not running and hiding from the fact that he ran and hide. But, for instance, today, while you don't see him, in the 3rd inning, he was in Dinger's dugout signing autographs. In the 5th inning, Suite 53 signing autographs. And then in the end of the 6th, Sports Authority jersey time at the end of the 7th, someplace called King Supers. So he's a busy dinosaur.
Well, Todd, based on the video we're looking at right now, I know that Dinger, because he's political. This is all about image and PR. He's got you, frankly, and I hate to call you out like this, but he's got you in his back pocket.
Please go ahead. No, you have done that.
You're just his mouthpiece, basically.
I am in a man of the people and a man of the mascots, and I have to go in areas that you guys don't always run in when you've got big hairy beasts, stalking you behind.
I'm going to have to go Judge Brenly here for the deciding vote.
Todd, I would suggest that you steer clear of Dee Baxter when we get back to Chase Field. I got a feeling he's got a bone to pick with you.
Oh, he's been on. That's been going on for years, and he knows how much I respect him.
All right, we're back to baseball now, thankfully. Yasmani Tomas in there with 2 on and nobody out. How can Dinger sign autographs? He doesn't have fingers.
I don't know.
Tomas 0 for 2. So that is the case of Dinger, the front-running mascot. And I think, frankly, we blew the case wide open.
We'll send a camera crew and chase Dinger out to his car after the game like they do on 60 Minutes.
Through the perp walk right to Arenado, who snags that one. Pollock back safely to the bank at second. That's the first out in the 6th.
Dinger, do you have anything to say about the video that was released today on Fox Sports Arizona?
My lawyer has advised I don't comment since the case is pending. Aaron Hill now. Well, Christian Bergman pitched last night, only threw 4 pitches, so he should be able to give them at least a couple of innings here. Aaron so far 0 for 2.
Just below the belt, right down the middle of the plate at 89. Throw that again. I love to watch Goldie when he's the trail runner on base. He takes his lead off with his eyes on the lead runner. He wants to make sure if A.J. Pollock attempts to steal third, that he gets a good jump and makes it safely into second. And leading off this way, not only can he see A.J. in front of him, but he can see Willeen Rosario behind him out of the corner of his eye. And see the pitcher out of the other side of his eye, out of his peripheral vision both ways. But his main focus is watching A.J. ahead of him.
One and one. Play on at second. A.J. is back in time. One and two. Now McHenry wants to talk it over. Diamondbacks 5-2 versus the Rockies this year. They've won 3 of 4 here at Coors. After our ball game today, we are on an airplane. First of 3 against the Padres tomorrow night from Petco Park. Diamondback Live pregame show at 6:30. Robbie Ray and Tyson Ross have all 3 games for you from San Diego right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Pollock at second, Goldie at first. 1 out. 1 and 2 on Aaron Hill.
I'm going to go way out on a limb here and say the Diamondbacks are going to have a real good approach against Tyson Ross tomorrow night. We've seen it happen repeatedly over the course of a season where they face a guy, he's done a nice job against the team. They get in that video room with Gracie and Turner Ward and come up with a game plan to attack that pitcher based on what he's done against them in the past. I think they're going to bust out against Tyson Ross.
Fly ball center field. Charlie Blackmon backing up. He's got room. Pollock will tag and head for third. They're on the corners now with 2 outs for Wellington Castillo.
And if it doesn't happen, I'll just pull a Dinger and disappear.
Well, that's already been well established with Dinger. And that's what I really worry about, Bob, with Dinger. It sets a bad example for the kids.
Not to mention a bad example to other mascots.
I mean, it's this level of professionalism that should be maintained. Got Got the new, or how about that? The Sedona red, the old school shirt. Diamondback fans here. There's strike one to Welly, who has struck out and walked 0 for 1. Wellington, when he first joined the Diamondbacks, remember that game? He struck out 4 times in 4 at-bats in his debut. Started just 1 for 12 up there, but boy, since then he's done nothing but hit. He's hit safely in 4 straight games, 6 of his last 7. And during that span is batting .360. And he drops it into left, a base hit. Pollock scores. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks, and Goldie's charging into third. There he is, an RBI single. And another big hit for Wellington Castillo.
Big 2-out knock for Welly. Got a fastball right in the middle of the plate, banged it into left field. Easy run scored for A.J. Pollock, and great base running once again by Goldie. Saw that Ben Paulson was a little slow reacting to that ball, so he just puts his head down and motors into third base.
And so a run is in. It's still first and third, 2 out for the Diamondbacks. And here's Chris Owings. CO has singled and hit into a double play. And as always, aggressive up there, jumping on the first pitch. It's 0-1.
Well, that first pitch, Nolan Arenado was playing a good 15, 18 feet behind the baseline down there at third. Chris Owings, for me, does not use the bunt enough. It's a real good weapon for him. He's one of the better bunters for base hits that I've seen in a long time. And Rocky's certainly not expecting it in this situation.
Arenado chatting up Goldie down there at third. This is popped up. Foul ground, McHenry calling for it. Arenado sneaks in behind him and they collide, and Arenado is down. You could hear even from up here Michael McHenry clearly calling for that ball, and Arenado is shaken up.
Oh, caught that helmet right on his chin, might have bit his tongue. It looked like he was checking for blood coming out of his mouth. Arenado, that is. As a catcher, you're taught to go after everything until somebody calls you off. I'm not so sure Arenado was calling for that ball, so McHenry does what he's supposed to do, stay on that pop-up until you hear somebody call you off.
And we'll go to break while they tend to Nolan Arenado, and we'll have the latest on his condition. And if that ends the inning, we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Back with more from Coors Field. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, you can imagine for Arenado, you're looking up. You really don't have a good idea where McHenry is at that point. You're not expecting any kind of contact, and then all of a sudden you get a catcher's helmet in the chin. McHenry backed right into him. And the trainers took him down the steps toward the clubhouse, possibly to run some further tests to make sure he's okay.
Charlie Blackmon leads off the sixth for the Rockies against Ruby De La Rosa. They had him turning his head to either side. It looked like they were kind of checking out his neck. So we'll see if he stays in the game. He's due to hit in this inning. Arenado in the 3-hole, Blackmon the leadoff man. See Tom Runnels, the bench coach, in there conferring with Walt Weiss. Checking down the clubhouse tunnel. Here's a strike on 3-0. All right to Goldie. Brings up Rafael Ynoa. And here is Arenado leaping out into the on-deck circle, so it appears that he's okay.
It looked like the trainer took a bat down the steps and had Arenado maybe take some swings in the cage just to make sure he was okay. But, man, he came sprinting up those steps of that first base dugout. He doesn't want to give up an at-bat.
Ynoa so far 0 for 2. Rockies with only 3 hits against Ruby De La Rosa, all singles. He has walked 1, has 3 strikeouts. He's lost just once in his last 9 starts. Bounced in the hole. Tough play for Ahmed. Ynoa can run, and Ahmed makes a terrific play to throw him out. Nick Ahmed, more Diamondback defense. That was a really tough play to get a good base runner.
He just gets that ball out of his glove and can throw so quickly and so strong across that diamond on the run to get a speedy runner at first base.
So here is Arenado, 0 for 2 so far. Fly ball, left center field. And it's gone. Nolan Arenado, that's 20, and we're all tied. Arenado has 4 hits in this series. 3 of them are home runs. And I guess he's okay.
I guess he's okay, yeah. That guy is well on his way to being one of the premier players in the game, both offensively and defensively. Got a low fastball right down the middle of the plate. Boy, he keeps his head down through the hitting zone. So good for a young hitter.
Shift is on for Ben Paulson. Shoots it the other way, but foul. So Nolan Arenado, the hit streak, is now up to 12 games. And during his 12-game hitting streak, he's got 5 homers and 13 RBIs. And we are tied at 1. 0-2.
Watch Arenado's head. At the point of contact, he's looking right down the barrel of the bat at contact. Look at that. Oh, man, that is beautiful. Down and through. That's why he gets such tremendous carry on those fly balls.
Reaches down and lifts it up in the air to Yasmani Tomas in right field. And that's the end of the inning. But the Rockies get a home run from Arenado, his 20th, and we are tied at 1. had a 1-0 lead on Wellington Castillo's 2-out RBI single in the top of the 6th. Rubio De La Rosa had gone 81 at bats without giving up a homer before Arenado tied it. And sure enough, Bob, our Dinger report continues. As soon as Arenado homers, guess who we see all of a sudden for the first time all day? It's Dinger, the front-running mascot.
With you, win or tie.
What a surprise. They score a run, suddenly he appears. A shocker. David Peralta leads off the 7th. Dinger. Now you watch Arenado hit, and you see how he's developed as an offensive player, and he's still only 24 years old. He turned 24 in April. And you also have to keep in mind he's played 2 full seasons in the major leagues, and he's won 2 Gold Gloves. And now the offense is really catching up to the defense, and when he puts it all together, and it looks like he's just about there, it's going to get kind of scary. Just foul.
One thing about Arenado, really the only weakness he has in his game is foot speed, and he recognizes that. He says, I'm not fast, but I'm working to be quicker. That first step is so important at third base as the ball gets down there so fast, and he tailors his offseason workout over that first step, getting quicker on the first step.
Chappelle out to talk to Chris Guccione as they're waiting to check the tape on that foul ball hit by Peralta. All boundary calls are subject to review.
That's one of the toughest calls for the first base umpire, trying to get out of the way of that smash and make the call at the same time.
And Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, they have to wait for him to get back to his position. Halfway between first and second on the outfield grass. Shift is still on, 1-2 now. And McHenry hangs on. First strikeout for Bergman on in relief of Jorge De La Rosa, who had to leave with an apparent cut on his middle finger, an issue that's been a problem all year for him.
With the home run by Nolan Arenado, now we know that he's okay. So look at this. Both players are down, obviously in pain. And the training staff and the manager come out of that first base dugout and run right by Michael McHenry and go to Nolan Arenado. Now, Mike McHenry's a nice guy, solid backup catcher, but Nolan Arenado is the future of this franchise. So, hey, you okay, Mike? All right. It was actually Ken Crenshaw that came out of the Diamondbacks dugout to check on Michael McHenry.
Oh, that's the kind of organization that we run here. The Rockies go, hey, you got gear on. What are you worried about? Well, that guy one day is going to get awfully expensive. Really expensive. You think they're paying Tulo a lot of money. Holy cow. And, you know, Rockies have to think about that, too. I mean, we talked a lot about how there is always speculation here. They might finally give up on the Cargo Tulo thing and trade one or both of them and try and move some of that money. But at some point down the road, you're going to have to reach into that pocket and pay Nolan Arenado, because he's going to get the money someplace. 2-2 now to Ruby, who singled his last time up. Got the baggy pants look going. And strikes out De La Rosa. Two down now for the leadoff man, Nick Ahmed. Nick 0 for 3. He's got 3 hits in the series, including his 4th home run of the year. That was Tuesday night. Had a pair of singles and an RBI in last night's ball game. That is a fair ball by a diving Nolan Arenado, and Nick Ahmed in the leadoff spot is at it again. He's on base with a 2-out double, his 7th this year. Nick now with 14 hits in his last 13 games.
Not an easy thing to do, get a ground ball past Nolan Arenado, but he shoots it right down that third base line. There's that quick first step I was just talking about, but Nick shoots it by him all the way down into the corner for that 2-out double.
And now you got a chance for one more 2-out hit. You can retake the lead here with A.J. Pollock. A.J. walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2. One more time, and that's by Arenado again, and here comes Ahmed. A.J. Pollock makes it 2-1 Diamondbacks, his 15th double.
Wow, just rewind the tape.
Exactly.
Just a middle of the plate fastball. You can see how far off the line Arenado is playing, and A.J. Pollock takes advantage. This looks just like the Nick Ahmed play.
Amazing. So they do indeed get that big 2-out hit, and it's a 2-1 game now. Here comes Steve Foster, the pitching coach. By the way, we do have an update on Jorge De La Rosa. He did indeed have to leave the ball game with a small cut on that left middle finger. That's the same finger that has bothered him since spring training. He is listed now as day-to-day, but he twice last month had to be pushed back from starts to try and let that finger heal, and clearly it's just not healing the way they need it to. Justin Miller now warming up in the Rocky bullpen.
Bullpen coach, former Diamondback pitcher Darren Holmes down there for the Rockies.
We got another run out there on second, first base open, and Goldie coming up, so it's conference time.
Yeah, I think they're overthinking this a little bit. I know what I'd do.
Walk him?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've seen some times lately where guys haven't walked him. Thankfully, but they're going to make the smart play here and pitch to Tomas, and that's not a whole lot better the way Yasmani's hit in this ballpark so far. But
well, that's perhaps the reason for the lengthy conversation on the mound. Tomas has done some damage of his own.
Yeah, last night a career high 4 hits for Yasmani. Tomas played 1 game in this ballpark during the Diamondbacks' first series here this year when we had all that rain. You know, that series. And he went 3 for 6 and 3 RBIs. That was when we played the doubleheader that one day. And then last night, his first ever 4-hit game.
Most walks since August of 2011. Goldie moving up that list as well.
So Tomas 7 for 11 at Coors Field coming into today, but he's 0 for 3 so far. He's got Pollock at second, Goldie at first. 2 outs, then a run in. That's a strike, 0-1.
That's a strike, but that's a good take by Yasmani, a guy that's got an aggressive swinger early in the at-bat, to say the least. That cutter just off the outside corner. Can't do much of that anyway.
Tomas has had a very productive June. He's hitting over .340 this month, including 2 home runs. This is inside. Tomas ahead, 2 balls and a strike. Big cut at that one, 2-2.
That's an oddity. You rarely see Yasmani Tomas take a big pull swing. This pitch is out there off the outside corner. He was looking to lift that ball in the air to left field.
It's full 3-2. Aaron Hill would be next. AJ, the runner at second. Goldie at first. They'll be off of the pitch here. 3-2, 2 outs. There go the runners. Bounce to second base. Yanoa has it. And he throws him out. That ends the threat, but the Diamondbacks get back-to-back 2-out doubles. Nick Ahmed started it off, and then A.J. Pollock, who should be an all-star, drove him home. And it's 2-1 Diamondbacks as we stretch at Coors Field. Back in the game and had 2 liners hit right by him. Certainly a rarity. At third base, turned into a Diamondback run. Now they lead it 2-1 as we start the bottom of the 7th, and Ruby De La Rosa back out there. He'll work to Willeen Rosario, Michael McHenry, and Daniel Descalso, the scheduled hitters 5, 6, and 7 in the Rockies 7th. Rosario singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. That one got Castillo back there.
Occupational hazard. Right off of that shin guard, right off the kneecap. I saw Willeen Rosario. He spent some time behind the plate. He asked Wellington, "You okay? You ready to go?" Wellington nodded his head. "Yeah, let's go."
It's a brotherhood.
Yep.
96. Rosario couldn't quite catch up, and he's down 0-2. Once again, Ruby De La Rosa going deep into the ball game. Just what the doctor ordered. That's what you like to see. Another quality start. Pitching into the 7th inning one more time. I mean, we've seen him. The command has been better. His walk rate is down nicely from last year. He's walked more than 2 batters in a start, only twice all season. He did not go, says Clint Fagan down there. And Ruby's only got 3 strikeouts today, but for the season, the strikeout rate has really jumped up. The power stuff is there. But he can get his share of ground ball outs more and more, and as a result, he's been very efficient. But as usual, there's that one inning, you see the fifth here, where he labors a bit. But he also seems to do a good job of refocusing once he gets through that inning. But he's gone full on Rosario to lead off the seventh.
It's been my experience in this game. Strikeouts are way overrated for pitchers. You know, quick contact, 1 or 2 pitches, maybe 3 pitches to retire a batter is much more efficient, will allow you to work deeper into the ball game, keep that pitch count down.
Nick Ahmed knocks it down, but he'll have no play. Really had to backhand and go deep into the hole to at least get a glove on that. And Rosario's aboard. He led off the fifth with a single, and he's on board to open up the seventh.
Just rolled out of his glove. He had to extend so far to get to that ball. He wasn't able to close the glove around it. It just rolled right out the webbing of the glove.
Well, now this is a chance for Ruby to show that efficiency here and see if he can get a ground ball from Michael McHenry, the catcher, who has grounded out and struck out looking. And we've seen, especially in that game at San Francisco when they turned 4 double plays behind Ruby De La Rosa, he has learned the value of efficiency out there and not rely on the strikeout so much. His ground ball rate is up over 50% for the first time in his career. And he could use one right here. Look out, one more time. McHenry throws a bat into the seats, and that one just misses, thankfully. He did that early in the ball game, and it went about 6-7 rows deep. That one hit the tarp.
There must be somebody sitting down there past the Diamondbacks dugout that he doesn't like. Man, that's almost in the same area, that poor security guard down there.
Well, he's also going to run out of bats. Rockies, the leadoff man aboard. They are just 1 for 6 with men on base today. Diamondbacks have out-hit Colorado 7-5. They lead it 2-1.
That's a beautiful thing, pitching at Coors Field, pitching at any field. Keep the ball on the ground with your superior defense behind you.
Five hits, 4 singles. The only fly ball that got out was the Arenado homer, his 20th of the year, that tied it 1-1. Still throwing hard at 96, a ball and 2 strikes to Michael McHenry. Got him. Went off speed that time. 4 strikeouts for Ruby.
He actually got a slider to break a little bit that time.
Trying to expand that repertoire, get him off just fastball changeup. Descalso walked his last time up, 0 for 1. He also hit a rocket right back to the mound, almost at Ruby's head, that thankfully he snared right in his glove. But it was a scary comebacker for sure. Knocks this into left. Peralta's got it. Now look at our Chevron upcoming pitching matchup. We're on an airplane right after this ball game. We go down to San Diego for the first of 3 against the Padres. We'll have all 3 games for you right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Pre-game show, Diamondback Live at 6:30 for Robbie Ray, who's got that 1.78 ERA against Tyson Ross, who had that filthy slider working last weekend at Chase Field. 2 down now. Here's Brandon Barnes. He has struck out in single. Here's Robbie. Boy, Ruby 8 scoreless innings against the Giants 2 weeks ago at AT&T Park. Walked 2, 8 strikeouts. He won his last start Friday against the Padres. 2 runs, 5 hits. He went 7. And another really good one here today. 97 misses, and it's 1-1. He has thrown strike 1 to the last 7 Rockies hitters. It's a nice differential right there.
Ooh, that was almost a balk by Ruby De La Rosa. There was some confusion with the sign there from Wellington Castillo, and he ever so slightly started up into his set position and stopped. Well, they called timeout quickly behind home plate. I think that's the only thing that saved him from having a balk call.
Goldie holding Rosario on the bag at first. Looks like that slider again, maybe 1-2. Oliver Perez, the left-hander, starts to throw in the Diamondback bullpen. "90 pitches for Ruby, 61 strikes, 1-2 to Barnes." That's in the seats.
In the shadows. Oh, nice play.
Wow, right through the wickets there. At least the Yankee fan missed it. That's a good sign. And he found a youngster. Nice job. Another 1-2 pitch. Off the glove of De La Rosa, knocked it down. He slows it. Owings can still make the shovel pass, and they get the force on Rosario. And that ends the inning. Ruby De La Rosa through 7 with a 2-1 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Beef Wellington coming up. Neighborhood pizza joint. We are athletic supporters. By Card Power from Arizona Federal Credit Union. Now that's the power of us. By Tire Pros. For the best selection of Continental and General brand tires, visit your local Arizona Tire Pros location today. And by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. Rocky Mountain High trying to plant that flag up there and get back to even par on the season. Ruby De La Rosa has certainly done his part today. Another gem from Ruby. He's gone 7 full. He leads it 2-1. And the new pitcher for the Rockies, the right-hander Justin Miller, just his 5th appearance this year, as Aaron Hill leads off the Arizona 8th. It's within sight, Bob Brenly. We're right there.
Just take the lift.
You don't need a Sherpa with a lift. You just sit down and enjoy the view. Aaron 0 for 3. Well, Chip Hale, as we told you at the top of our broadcast, said that the mantra here is to play the bottom of the 9th inning on the road. That means you're winning the game. And a win here, if they can hang on, will put his team at 500 for the first time since late April, when they were 8-8. 0-2. That's rolled foul.
A couple more runs sure wouldn't hurt anything, as you see Daniel Hudson cranking it up in the bullpen.
Oliver Perez had been throwing earlier, I think just in case Charlie Blackmon got up there, but De La Rosa able to get out of the inning. And it looks like Hudson will get the 8th. Already pitched last night. Worked the 8th inning through just 10 pitches. 0-2 on Aaron Hill. Look out.
Always turn away from that pitch for you young hitters out there. When you see that ball coming up and in, don't try to catch it. Don't try to open up to your left and get out of the way. Turn away from the pitch.
It's the strikeout to open up the 8th. Let's take a look now at the rest of our road trip. Let's go places, brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealers. We have the Padres probable starters for our series this weekend. Ray and Ross tomorrow night. Jeremy Hellickson good to go, as Todd Walsh told us earlier. Andrew Kashner on Saturday. And then Chase Anderson and Odrisamer Despaigne in the series finale Sunday. Hellickson threw a bullpen yesterday and felt fine. The MRI was all clear, so Jeremy good to go. Wellington Castillo. After Jeremy had to come out of his start over the weekend at Chase Field during an at-bat, he said he felt a little bit of a tweak. Not in his oblique area, more in his lower back, but everything seems fine. So that's certainly good news, especially the way that Hellickson has pitched lately. He's been terrific. Castillo has walked and singled. He's got an RBI. He's down 0-2. Rockies in the 8th inning will have the pitcher spot leading off, and then it's Blackmon and Inoa. Remember also they have Tulowitzki and LeMahieu on the bench, so Walt Weiss has some heavy hitters if he wants to pinch hit here. They are still without, of course, Corey Dickerson, who has a foot injury. They're without Justin Morneau, who's on the DL with concussion symptoms. Probably don't want to let Cargo swing a bat if he wasn't in the starting lineup with that hand injury.
You saw LeMahieu and Tulowitzki at least moving around, starting to stretch a little bit just in case they're called upon, but Cargo with the shades on, sitting back.
Also got Nick Hundley, the starting catcher, who's got the day off. So if you take Cargo out of the equation, you're looking at essentially LeMahieu, Tulo, and Hundley for your pinch hitting possibilities. It's a fly ball to left field. Ben Paulson backing up near the track. That's the second out.
Hey fans, tomorrow come out to Gila River Arena for the Coyotes Rally Draft Viewing Party to show your support for the Arizona Coyotes. Roger Klein and the Peacemakers will perform live, and you can be the first to see the team's new uniforms. The event kicks off at 3 o'clock, and the event is free. For more information, go to ArizonaCoyotes.com.
Well, keep this in mind as Chris Owings steps in now. The Diamondbacks have 7 hits in the ball game. All 7 hits have come with 2 outs. D-backs as a team batting .271 with 2 outs this year. And sure enough, Owings gives one a ride. Paulson back it up. He's at the wall, and he's... Let's see. It's in the glove. He's got it. Ben Paulson might have taken a home run away there from Chris Owings, and he needed every inch of that 6'4" frame.
Oh, yeah.
He takes a homer away from CO, so it stays 2-1. Big Ben Paulson takes an insurance run away from the Diamondbacks, a homer away from Chris Owings. A look at our Cox Gig Life high-speed highlights. And this would have been a nice run in a 2-1 ball game.
Oh, a big run in a 2-run game. We've talked about Ben Paulson throughout this series. He's a first baseman by trade, but has really done a nice job filling in and left.
Last night's winning pitcher, Daniel Hudson, will work the 8th inning. Troy Tulowitzki will hit for the pitcher Miller. So Tulo off the bench to lead off the Rocky 8th. And this is the evolution, the continued evolution of Daniel Hudson. We've talked about the double Tommy John surgery and the best way to use him. Well, here's a good example. He's been used now in back-to-back games. Night game last night, day game today. Last night it was tied. Today a 1-run game, so he's in some high leverage situations for the Diamondbacks. And Tulo lifts that one high and deep and out of here. 2-2. Troy Tulowitzki, his 8th homer. And we are tied at 2.
Well, that answers the question I had in my mind. I wonder why Walt Weiss didn't lead off with DJ LeMahieu, who has a much higher on-base percentage. takes his walks, but this is why Troy Tulowitzki leads off against Daniel Hudson, a fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter, and Tulo takes him opposite field.
Tulowitzki hitting .357 this year when he's the leadoff hitter in an inning. And you saw John Axford with his fist raised in the bullpen there. 2-2 now. Here's Blackman. So the Rockies only 6 hits, 2 runs, both on solo homers. Arenado in the 6th, and now Tulowitzki a pinch hit home run in the 8th. Boy, Tulowitzki's now hit safely in 21 of his last 22 games with 22 RBIs. So you know with a second baseman on deck. Ball 4, a home run, now a walk. And the go-ahead run is aboard with nobody out. Mike Harkey. Daniel Hudson last night, only 10 pitches, 7 strikes. He worked a 1-2-3-8. He got Hundley to pop up, Barnes to ground out, and then he struck out Descalso. But a short turnaround here, and so far a home run and a walk. He'll work to Manoah. That, by the way, was the first pinch hit home run of Troy Tulowitzki's major league career. And Blackman, who stole 2 bases last night, 19 on the year, is over there at first. Nobody out. Rafael Ynoa. See bottom corner your picture there. Arenado is next. He's on deck. He homered in his last at bat. Shows bunt, and that's a strike.
As you can imagine, that's something the Rockies don't do a lot of, put down sacrifice bunts, especially here at Coors Field.
Is not much of a hitter up there, really. Only 4 extra base hits all season. Now that guy, on the other hand, can be a problem. There goes Charlie Blackman. Here's the throw from Castillo, and he is, in there. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, says safe. Looked like the throw beat him.
That throw was a little bit high, making Nick Ahmed go up to get the ball and then come back down with the tag. Just took a little bit too long. Looks like they got it right.
They're having a look right now. And Chip Hale acknowledges that Blackman was in there with what was his 20th stolen base this year. And now the go-ahead run is in scoring position with nobody out, and a 1-1 count on Inoue. It's a bunt down. Hudson's on it. Blackman in at third. Nolan Arenado, a wild sixth inning. There was the collision to end the top of the sixth when he ran into Michael McHenry. And then in the bottom of the sixth, a two-out homer to tie it 1-1, his 20th of the year.
Yeah, we were wondering if he was even going to stay in the ball game.
Well, they're going to put him on base here with first base open. Ben Paulson, a lefty, is on deck, but they won't mess with Arenado.
No issues with this at all. He's their Goldie right now. You throw him a strike, he's going to hit it hard somewhere.
This is a guy that's got a 12-game hitting streak counting today. And during the streak, 5 homers.
Yeah, not to mention it sets up a possible double play to get out of this inning.
You've got Paulson, the lefty, coming up. Oliver Perez had been throwing earlier before Daniel Hudson, in fact, and he is standing and looking for some kind of sign right now. And they're on the corners with 1 out, and Paulson is the hitter. Ben Paulson so far 0 for 3. And he is hitless in the series. And that defensive play he made earlier to rob Chris Owings of a home run, looming even larger right now in what is a 2-2 game. Ball 1. There is an intentional walk in the mix, of course, but so far for Huddy, 15 pitches, only 3 strikes. He's behind Paulson 2-0.
That was actually a straight changeup that Paulson shot to the left side of the field right there. Tardy on that, he's going to be way late on that plus 90 fastball.
Huddy's had it cranked up upper 90s a lot lately. 2-1 pitch. By Goldie, Owings has it. They get the out at first, but Blackman scores. And they got Arenado hung up.
Oh, no.
And somehow he escapes. 3-2 Rockies.
Started out as a pretty nice play right there. Daniel Hudson a little late getting over to first base, but ultimately gets there, and he looks up to find Arenado halfway between second and third base. That's where the fun started. I mean, there's nobody to back up Aaron Hill at third base. So once the ball comes to Aaron and he runs Arenado back to the bag, as soon as he lets that ball go, there's nobody at third base. You can see the reaction by Aaron Hill. Once he let that ball go, he realized there's nobody home.
So the run scores. Arenado makes it first to third on a short grounder to second base. He's at third now, 2 outs. And Willeen Rosario steps in. He's 2 for 3, a pair of singles. Rosario has had a pair of hits in every game in this series, including a double and a homer. Rockies bullpen will get busy now. They lead it 3-2. John Axford, the closer who had that rough night last night, is down there throwing along with Boone Logan. 1-1 pitch. Boone Logan, the lefty. Axford, the closer.
You may see Walt Weiss start the top half of the ninth with Logan to face David Peralta and then go to John Axford after that, depending on the pinch hitter for the pitcher spot.
And keep in mind how Axford labored through that long Diamondback ninth last night. He threw 32 pitches. 1-2 on Rosario. Drops it into center, a base hit. Arenado scores, and it's 4-2. A 3-run Rockies 8th. And a 3-hit day for Willeen Rosario. Rockies only have 7 hits. Rosario has 3 of them. Michael McHenry has struck out his last 2 times up. He's 0 for 3. When you swing that hard, just remember to hold on to the bat.
Please.
He's put 2 in the seats today. Not foul balls, bats. .97 inside for a strike. It's 1-2. Henry in a 4 for 29 right now. He's just over 230 on the year. Diamondbacks in the 9th inning will have David Peralta, the pitcher's spot, and the leadoff man Nick Ahmed, 8-9-1. And they'll try and come back for the second ball game in a row here at Coors Field. 2-2. There goes Rosario. That's in the seats. Don't forget, fans, 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup quarterfinals. China and Team USA. That's tomorrow, 4 o'clock on your local Fox station. Then flip over to Fox Sports Arizona after the soccer game for the D-backs and the Padres. A winner-go-home match, Team USA and China in the quarterfinals. They're playing that game up in Ottawa. Or as Barry Melrose always says, Atwa. Rosario will take second. And it's 3-2 on McHenry. Descalso would be next. John Axford, the closer, still throwing down there in the Colorado pen. Logan looks ready. We've got Peralta scheduled to lead off the ninth. Ball 4. Third walk in the inning issued by Daniel Hudson. And that's going to be it for Huddy.
Just couldn't get in sync out there today.
Well, you've got the left-hand hitting Daniel Descalso coming up. Oliver Perez coming out of the bullpen. We'll be back after this. Of the game, another terrific start today from Ruby De La Rosa. Look at these numbers over his last 3. Only 2 earned runs allowed in 22 innings.
His stuff has been really good. His rhythm out there on the mound, his pace has been outstanding, and I give a lot of credit to the Diamondbacks catchers, specifically Wellington Castillo. Got some help from his defense. A great double play right there, a 3-2-3. He's really had it all going on today.
Yeah, he only had 1 walk, had 4 strikeouts. He'll have to settle for a no decision here. Daniel Descalso, a left-hand hitter, was due up. Chip Hale went to his bullpen to bring in Oliver Perez for what will be the 400th appearance of his career. And Walt Weiss has countered. Descalso recalled, and Nick Hundley, the catcher, will hit for him. The numbers this year on Oliver Perez: 400 career appearances. A lot of those, of course, as a starter back in his days with the Mets. So here's Hundley. You've got Rosario at second, McHenry at first, a couple of catchers really on the bases for the Rockies, and Hundley in there at just over 300 on the year and 6 home runs. He's already passed his home run and RBI totals from all of last season. He homered in the ball game last night off Allen Webster.
It's not easy to get all three catchers on your roster involved in the same offensive play, but that's what Walt Weiss has here. His regular starting catcher at the plate, backup catcher at first, and former catcher Willeen Rosario at second.
You must be in your glory right now. What you're saying is there's a great foot speed all over the infield.
Oh, yeah.
Although
they run hard, they just don't run fast.
Not exactly Maury Wills down there. 2-0. Ollie's behind 3 balls and no strikes. Barnes is on deck. Hundley, the 8th Rockies hitter in this inning. There's the strike. Three and two.
Well, Castillo goes to the mound here. 3-2, 2 outs. The runners are going to be in motion. I imagine he just called the sign right there. Let's see if Wellington even gives the sign to Ollie Perez here. Yes, indeed he does.
There go the base runners. Ball 4, they're loaded. That's the 4th walk for the Rockies in this half inning. And Brandon Barnes, the 9th man to bat, comes up. Logan and Axford still throwing in the Rocky bullpen. The lefty and the righty. Rosario is the runner at third. McHenry at second. And Hundley at first. Now this is your dream scenario, BB. I know they're all Rockies, but you got 3 catchers out there on the bases.
One of them needs to get picked off.
Barnes 1 for 3, a single in the 5th. And Tulo, who led off the inning with a pinch hit homer off Daniel Hudson, is back out there in the on-deck circle. After hitting the first pinch hit homer of his big league career. Oh, 0-2. Bounces to third. It goes through Aaron Hill. Rosario scores. McHenry right behind. And it's 6-2 Rockies. An 8th inning implosion for the Diamondbacks.
Top spin grounder down that third baseline just ate up Aaron Hill. Got caught in between hops, tried to field it up against his chest and knock it down. It got underneath into left field.
And with first base open, Tulowitzki will be intentionally walked. This will be the 5th walk in the inning by Diamondbacks pitchers, 2 of them intentional. It was Tulo who started this thing off with a pinch hit homer to tie it. And it's turned into a 5-run Rockies 8th.
We talk about it all the time at Coors Field. As long as you have outs left in a ball game, you still have a chance to win, and that's the case for the Rockies in this inning and for the Diamondbacks in the next.
So they're loaded with 2 outs for Charlie Blackmon. He's already walked, stolen a base, and scored a run in this inning. 1 for 3 with a single. You've got a Hundley at third base. Barnes at second, Tulo at first. John Axford is done throwing now. Looks like they won't need their closer. Boone Logan ready to go. Logan, one of the few Rockies relievers who did not pitch in last night's ball game. They used 7 relievers. Oh, 0-2. Got him. And the inning finally comes to an end, but the Rockies send 11 to the plate. They get 5 runs, and as we go to the 9th, they lead it 6-2. #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcast, and a whole lot more. You can get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or your tablet. As we hit the 9th inning in Colorado, it's the lefty Boone Logan with all kinds of defensive changes behind him. The numbers on Logan. His 30th appearance on the year, the ERA right at 4.5.
He's the lone man standing, as you said last night in that Rockies bullpen. Walt Weiss used everybody but his big lefty.
All right, let's start behind the plate. Nick Hundley, who hit for Descalso in that inning, stays in the game. He'll take over behind the plate as catcher. Ben Paulson, who robbed a home run in left field, moves to first base. Tulowitzki stays in the game. He takes over for Descalso at shortstop. Brandon Barnes moves from right field to left field, replacing Paulson. And Cargo, his second appearance of this series, takes over for Barnes in right. So Hundley catches, Paulson at first, Tulo at short. The outfield left to right, Barnes, Blackman, and Gonzalez. And with a lefty out there, they will recall David Peralta and have Cliff Pennington lead off the inning. Pitcher spot is due up next. Jared Saltalamacchia, another switch hitter, is on deck. Rockies with a 5-run eighth. They did it on just 2 hits. 5 walks in the inning, 2 intentional, and a big error at third. Pennington has hit safely in 4 straight games, 5 of his last 6.
Need a runner right here. Put some pressure on the Rockies. Saw an amazing resilience out of this Diamondbacks ball club last night late. Need to do it again today.
Well, a good start. He's ahead 3-0. Cliff 3 for 14 as a pinch hitter this year. But also 4 times he has drawn 4 walks in a pinch hit role, and he's a ball away from doing that one more time. There's the strike. Axford still lingering out there. Well, Logan's found the strike zone now. It's even, or pardon me, full 3-2. Pennington, Saltalamacchia, and Ahmed here in the Diamondback 9th. Ball 4, good start. Leadoff walk.
Boy, they say there's no such thing as momentum in the game of baseball, but I don't know if I believe it today. That great catch out in left field on the Chris Owings drive by Ben Paulson. Yeah, Rockies come back into the dugout for the next half inning. Their superstar shortstop Troy Tulowitzki gets his first pinch hit home run of his career to the opposite field, and they just took off and hit.
Yeah, that Paulson catch. Keep in mind that's a 2-1 ball game at that point. Diamondbacks lead. So here's one of last night's heroes, Jared Saltalamacchia, an epic at bat against Axford. That one was from the left-hand side. He's up there as a righty against Logan and rolls it into left center, a base hit. Pennington will head for third. Diamondbacks trying to battle back one more time.
Yeah, first pitch, fastball away, just finds that hole back up the middle. Remember, Tulowitzki in the game cold came in as a pinch hitter, did run around the bases as he trotted on his home run, but couldn't find the range to get to that slow roller up the middle.
And speaking of slow rollers, here comes Walt Weiss. And I think we're going to get round 2 for the Diamondbacks against John Axford, who is coming in after he threw 32 pitches last night. His first blown save of the year. D-backs threatening in the 9th. One more time back after this. ball game, or pardon me, behind. Get 3 in the inning against John Axford, who blew his first save of the year, wound up with a loss, and now Axford is in again here this afternoon. But boy, the parade just went on and on against him last night.
Really, and it was the quality of the at-bats. Not only the Saltamaki, a walk to drive home Goldie, but they just did not swing at pitches out of the zone. They forced Axford to throw strikes, and when he did, they were able to get the bat on it, make some things happen.
So it was a 3-run D-backs ninth, turned into an 8-7 Arizona win. 2 on, nobody out, down 6-2 in the ninth one more time, and it's Axford one more time. His 24th appearance. Nick Ahmed, the scheduled hitter, the leadoff man, but Danny Dorn will come off the bench and hit for Ahmed. He's got Pennington at third, Saltalamacchia at first. Danny, 5 hits in 24 at-bats with the D-backs this year. And since his 2-hit game in Anaheim last week, he is 0 for his last 11. The numbers on Axford last night, ugly.
32 pitches in that ball game last night, and a short turnaround for the day game today.
Gotta think that's a factor, right? .97 in on the hands, 0-1. Danny had 208 on the year, 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter, a couple of RBIs. Again, 97. Right by him at 0-2.
The life of a left-handed pinch hitter in the major leagues. Danny Dorn, most of his at-bats off the bench have come against closers. Just fights that one off. Slider working its way down and in. You may remember the big hit he had against
Craig Kimbrell.
Craig Kimbrell, yeah, right before he got sent back to Reno.
That was a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run double May 9th. That tied the game against the Padres at Chase Field and forced extra innings.
Take right there. Tempting fastball up above the top of the strike zone. Good take by Danny.
That is a fair ball. Paulson gets it, steps on the bag to retire Dorn. Pennington scores from third, and it's a 6-3 ball game. A.J. Pollock walked and scored in the 6th, had an RBI double his last time up. He's 1 for 3.
Okay, you know what Chip Hale's thinking right now. Just find a way to get on base, A.J., and get Goldie up there with a chance to tie this game up with one swing of the bat.
He's the tying run on deck. That one got Hundley, and it's wobbled him a bit there. Watch him just kind of stagger back as he tries to stand up.
That's a direct hit. Boom.
And he gets up right about here.
A rock back on his heels.
Oof.
AJ actually hits that ball on his backswing. You see Nick Hundley tightening the straps on the back of that goalie style helmet. Make sure everything's where it's supposed to be before this next pitch is delivered.
Strike two.
Tough pitch to swing at, tough pitch to take, right on that outside corner.
That was a pitch he said that he liked a lot last night. Maxford, after the ball game, said he threw a few of those last night that he thought should have been called strikes. He was a stand-up guy, stand there the whole time, very patiently answering all the questions about his first blown save of the year.
He's quite the Renaissance man. When he was in Milwaukee, he was the, I guess, honorary chairman of an independent film festival.
He's dialed in. He makes Oscar picks every year. They're almost always right. And not just best actor, you know, he'll pick like best sound, best cinematography. It's a big thing with him, and he's got a remarkable record. Pretty good record as a closer as well. 2-2.
Staying away, both with that little short slider and the fastball. And we know AJ's got opposite field power. We've seen him go deep to the bullpens here at Coors Field in this series.
AJ just over 340 for his career in this ballpark, including 2 homers, so he hits well here. One out, Salty at second. 2-2. Base hit. Saltalamacchia will stop at third. And the Diamondbacks have the tying run at the plate. It's Paul Goldschmidt with 1 out. Don't go anywhere.
Another quality at bat, this time by A.J. Pollock. I mean, I talked to Craig Counsell in spring training this year and asked him, what are your lasting memories of the 0-1 team? And he said the quality at bats every night. And we're seeing that here last night in the ball game and so far here in the 9th again today.
Goldie has been on base 3 times today. Singled and stole a base in the first. He has walked twice, once intentionally. Saltalamacchia, the runner at third. Pollock at first. Tying run at the plate, 1 out. Oh boy.
97-mile-an-hour fastball up above the belt, inside part of the plate. That ball usually goes a long way.
Axford's going to tie his shoes and gather his thoughts. Throw that one again. One and one.
But eerily quiet in this ballpark.
Paul Goldschmidt has that effect on visiting ballparks. There goes AJ. That's a ball, and Pollock is in at second. No throw from Hundley back there. No point in risking it. And they score that, AJ's 15th stolen base of the year.
That could possibly change the way Axford decides to pitch to Paul Goldschmidt now in this situation with the base open.
They got Tomas on deck. Tom Runnels feeling for hair that used to be there.
It used to be there. Oh man.
Wow.
Another center cut fastball. Ooh.
That was better than the first one. Two and two. Up and in, 97, and it's full.
You saw Hundley move inside. I don't think they wanted it up that high. And usually a fastball up and in sets up a pitch low and away. See if that's where they go on this 3-2 delivery.
Goldie 3 hits in the series, including his 20th home run of the season last night. Three balls, two strikes. Where's a good spot to pitch to this guy? Is there one?
I think the 0-0-0 would be a good place to start. Those are probably intentional walks when they throw him out there. That's why he can't hit that one. But you can see he covers the plate. He's quick inside. He handles the high pitch. He handles the low pitch.
Look at his body language. He's laughing up there in this situation at the plate, just kind of joking around with Nick Hundley and Chris Guccione back there. And he couldn't look more relaxed right now. Ball game on the line. Well, last night it was Saltalamacchia. This afternoon it's Goldschmidt. Eighth pitch coming up. With Salty standing down there at third, A.J. Pollock on second, and Goldie the tying run at the plate. Too
close to take. Just reach out there, get a piece of it. He's done that several times in this at bat already, wasting good pitches.
And keep in mind, day game after a night game. Axford 32 pitches last night, about to throw his 20th here today.
They're going to try to come inside. If I read the signs right now, it looks like he's moving away.
In the seats.
When you're away, and the guy just keeps getting a piece to stay alive, get a piece to stay alive. Sometimes you're tempted to rush one in underneath his hands, try to freeze him at the plate, but I don't think Axford wants anything to do with that.
Only 86 points above league average with a full count. Left field, Barnes is there. Saltalamacchia will tag. It's a 6-4 ball game.
Oh, for a little elevation on that one. Hit it hard, unfortunately, on a line and right at Barnes in left field.
So the 2 outs in the inning for the Diamondbacks have delivered 2 runs, and they still have the tying run at the plate. It's Tomas. Walt Weiss pays a visit to the mound.
Almost shot over Barnes' head. Had a snow cone catch out there in left field.
Conversation now with his closer. First base open, Tomas at the plate. Aaron Hill on deck. LaTroy Hawkins, who also pitched in last night's ball game. Yasmani Tomas, a career high 4 hits last night, 0 for 4 today. Tying run at the plate, 2 down. Strike 1. Oh, and 2. Axford's going to need the weekend off after this series.
Well, you know, Aaron Hill in that on-deck circle is hoping for a redeemer at bat here. That big error in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Ball went right through his wickets down there at third base. He'd love an opportunity here.
It was a 2-run error. And remember, it was Aaron who had the sac fly that delivered the go-ahead and winning run last night. No balls, 2 strikes on Yasmani Tomas. Pollock, the runner at second. Got him. No, he didn't hang on. We're still alive here. That one got Hundley. Let's see.
Oh, a hanging breaking ball right there, and Yasmani just got a piece of it.
He caught it all right, but not in the glove.
No.
Another chance for Yasmani. That time he does hang on. Axford gets the strikeout, and the Rockies get the win. A 5-run Colorado 8th. They win it 6-4, and they take the series.
And once again, the Diamondbacks with an opportunity to get to 500 for the 11th time this season. They fall short, but they gave it a run here in the 9th inning once again. Breaking ball in the dirt. Gets Yasmani Tomas to swing through it.
And so that 500 mark once again eludes the Diamondbacks. The Rockies come back and win it 6-4, and they take the series. Diamondback Live postgame show is coming up next here on Fox Sports Arizona. Much more from Coors Field right after this.